Hello, everybody, and welcome inside the broadcast booth at Virtue Field. I'm Brian McLaughlin, back with Matt Montel, and another Vermont Green season is upon us. We're thrilled to be back with you for the 2023 Vermont Green FC campaign. Matt, ahead of the home opener, a team that comes in already with a win under their belt, but it's great to be back with you for another great season.
I know. I'm so thrilled. And with the weather that we have for the opening match for this season, you couldn't ask for anything better right now. I think everyone is just chomping at the bit to get at it.
Excited to have fans back, excited to have a packed house coming tonight in the home opener. But, Matt, as we take a quick look back at the first year of Vermont Green FC, an undoubted success from top to bottom, start to finish. What do you remember from year one as we look back on it?
I remember, it's starting off when you and I were discussing, all right, Adam's going to start with like a 4-2-3-1, and we both understood that this is a fairly conservative system. Granted, if you have absolutely ballers riddled throughout the actual starting lineup, it can look incredibly attacking, but it's an insurance system. It tries to stop as many goals against as it possibly can. And as the weeks progressed and we got further into the summer, we started to see the team really gel together, which was really nice to see. And all of a sudden, the goals just started flying in. And obviously, it helps when you have a striker like Gevork Diarbian. And congratulations to him on getting, I think, his first goal for Seattle a couple of weeks ago. So, but yeah, what a season just to kick off the club and, enter into USL2. I think everyone had, ambition and lofty goals, but I don't know if anybody expected to go that deep into the playoffs and really give a go at it.
We've got an interview coming up with Adam Pfeiffer, Vermont Green FC's head coach. Starting lineups also coming up. But, Matt, let's take a look back at some players that are returning for Vermont Green and also some new names that you're excited about on this year's squad.
Yeah, we have some, and that's going to be a key part about how quickly maybe this team can kind of gel together. Maybe a little bit less of a time towards it in the beginning of the season because we have Pacella coming back. He's probably one of the most influential players, and he plays in such an important part of the field, right in the midfield, shielding the defense and really controlling the tempo, in both possession and in defense. We have Jake Ashford coming back, our rock in the back.
The captain,
Captain Ashford. And I remember him having an absolutely barnstormer of, the last 4 weeks of the season. He was a big, big part of why we had so much success towards the end when it was, it was crunch time.
And Nathan Messer is the other big returner that is in today's lineup.
Yep. It's good to have Nathan Messer back, and I believe there's a couple other familiar faces that we're going to be seeing, but there's a couple names that I was really excited to see that you and I were discussing. There's a player, Ochoa, who's going to be playing in the back next to Ashford, and I'm really interested to see how quickly that really important center-back partnership develops. There's also, I believe, India is going to be next to Pacella in what is going to be a 4-2-3-1. We'll see how progressive he is in the attack. I'm curious to see if Pacella is going to kind of continue to play a little bit more conservative and protect the defense when we are in attack. So I'm really excited to see what happens between the two of them in the middle of the field.
And before we get to my sit-down with head coach Adam Pfeiffer, Matt, with all of that said, new players and some returners, last year's unbelievable success, what can we expect from this year's team realistically? What should their goals be?
Well, I think when you listen to the interviews that, Adam gave talking about the inaugural season, and he understands that, we probably went past what our expectations were, but that's a good thing, and he wants that. He doesn't want it, any other way. So he'd rather have the standards be set really high up and go right back after it. And they understand that they're capable of it now, too. So it's not – there's almost more confidence that they can do the exact same thing and maybe go further.
Let's hear from Adam himself. Here's our sit-down with head coach Adam Pfeiffer. We're now joined by head coach of Vermont Green FC, ahead of the home opener, Adam Pfeiffer. Coach, thanks for taking time pregame. Exciting times here in Burlington as your squad gets ready to open up their home campaign. As you get ready, a couple hours before kickoff tonight, where are your emotions at? Year 2 for you at the helm. Just take me inside your thought process right now as you get ready to open up your home start this season.
Yeah, I think, contrasting it from last year, it's a lot, it's a lot more normal than I think it was last year. Last year, everything was brand new, and we had so much to learn just about the league and, the rules that are a little different than they are in college. We got a lot of college coaches, and, so from that standpoint, everything is a lot less anxiety coming into the start of the season. But, we're obviously tremendously excited and trying to really savor and appreciate playing on this field in front of this community and have an opportunity to give them something to get excited about.
One of the unique things about this level, you have some returners, but you have a lot of new faces as well. How's that been as you try to balance some guys that you are familiar with on your squad, but also learning new faces and some new skill sets?
Yeah, there's always, an evaluation process, at the start of any season, even when you're bringing in, a whole team of returning players. There's, guys are coming in at different, levels of fitness and having done different things in the spring with their colleges, some guys that were not involved with the team even kind of waiting for this time of year and training on their own. So you got guys that are at different levels of fitness and different levels of sharpness. So it's been very good, and we continue to bring in more players. We got more guys, 3 more really quality players coming in this weekend, and then more the following week. So, that's just kind of the reality of USL2, and you're going to have some guys coming in and, other guys that go out to go and, train with an MLS team for 2 weeks. And so there's a little bit of a balancing act with that. But it's been, pretty sharp and getting sharper every day. I mean, I think we're about, a week and a half into, consistent training together and have a match under our belts. So, progress every day, and it's been good.
You mentioned that match tonight, the first time many fans will get to see you here on your home turf, but the season opener, 3-0 win against the Boston Bolts on the road in the rain. Tell me about the result, just the overall performance. What were you taking away from that first match?
Yeah, I think, from our standpoint, we really just, wanted to get our feet underneath us, of course, and get 3 points on the road. We had our struggles last year on the road, and to add on to that, it was the weather added an element of difficulty into it. Obviously, it's the same for both teams, but we had a lot of the ball. We created some good quality opportunities, and I think it settled us down quite a bit to score a goal 7-8 minutes in, and then obviously we get another one right before the half. So from a timing standpoint, that was great. It'll be an interesting thing to see our team if that goal doesn't come early today and we get in, through 45 minutes and it's 0-0. Then we find out a little bit more about the character of the group and things like that. So while the Bolts are a good opponent and nothing was easy, I think that the circumstances played out quite well for us in that game. And so, we'll see, how the players react if and when, and it's when, things are maybe not going our way.
Now, last year, fans who followed you pretty closely tactically were familiar with your style of play, familiar with a 4-2-3-1 type of formation that you ran. How is your team different this year stylistically from what you've seen so far, and how you've tried to make your own individuals on this year's squad fit with what they can do best as well as with what your own goals are?
Yeah, I think, last year, certainly we wanted to be a possession-oriented attacking team that was, built from the back and played some, slick kind of attacking football. That was kind of our ambition, and I think that we achieved that, at times. But we were still learning the league, so in terms of the recruitment, we didn't necessarily have a really clear vision of what we were looking for in terms of bringing guys in. This year, that was a lot different. So I think that when we went out and tried to find players, like we had a style of play that in mind, and so we tried to get some guys that would fit into that. So I think you can expect to see more similar ideas out on the field, especially when we have the ball. I think we can be a lot better though defensively when we don't have the ball than we were last year, and so that's something that we hope shows through today.
Coach, I really appreciate the time here pregame. Good luck today.
Awesome. Thank you.
A Vermont Green FC season begins anew. You just watched our pregame show where we had a sit down with head coach Adam Pfeiffer. I'm Brian McLaughlin, once again joined by Matt Montel. And Matt, as the boys in green have taken the field in their home opener against the visitors Albany Rush, man, it is great to be back in front of these fans and getting ready to watch these boys play the game they love and a game that we're excited to watch them play this summer. So many emotions as we watch them get set. Happy to have you back and happy to be back with you.
Happy to be back, Brian. Yeah, just to reiterate also that everyone has been so excited in this entire town, in this state, and even outside of the state. You know, you can see it all over the socials, on Twitter, on Facebook, everything. I know that these players are thinking the exact same thing. They've been waiting for this day, for the first home match to really set the standard for the season. I can tell they're chomping at the bit.
And here is the opening lineup for Vermont Green FC in their home opener. Matt, a 4-2-3-1. You texted me earlier today. Odds are this is going to be the formation, and sure enough, you were spot on. What stands out when you look at this group?
Well, the returning of Pacella and Ashford, and then having them two kind of just form at least like that defensive base together. They're the most experienced right now in this lineup for it. But I'm really excited to see how Ochoa and Ashford form a partnership as a center back. I know we touched base on that, but that's going to be really, really important. You know, I know that Adam, speaking with him last season, he expressed that, you know, first you really want to set your defensive unit across the entire team. You want to limit as many shots and goals against, and then you figure out how to get the goals after. Those will come as you start to gel as a team altogether.
Representing and wearing their new wildflower green uniforms. That was the lineup breakdown of Vermont Green FC. Let's run through the Albany Rush starting lineup, a team that are also 1-0 to begin this season. We can go through their starting 11. And Matt, they're playing a 4-3-3, starting for the second consecutive game. James Knudsen in net. Heller and Cook on the left side of the defense also started the opener, as did Watt at right back. Ben Byrne gets his first start of the year at right center back. And a future UVM player in the midfield, Nash Barlow, who will be a catamount in the fall, starts on the left-hand side with Antonio Lagamba. And on the right side of the midfield, Timo Jansen. While up top, it's Zach Sauer, Jackson Gold, who scored the game-winning goal against Boston City FC, and Tate Mickelson. How does the 4-3-3 potentially mesh and match up against the 4-2-3-1?
Generally, a 4-3-3 is a pretty attacking formation. It generally means that almost all three of the midfielders generally join in attack. Certainly Lagamba that we saw in the center, he'll probably sit a little deeper most of the time, but he definitely has license to get forward for it. What I do see versus them is that they'll be a little bit more open versus Vermont Green FC in the 4-2-3-1 when you have, essentially Ndia and Pacella sitting in front of the outside of possession, sitting in front of the defense. So I think we'll be a little bit more of a defensive structure versus it seems like, Albany is going to be a little bit more free-flowing and attacking. But we'll see. It all depends on kind of what they've been training on, their philosophy.
You're looking at Nathan Messer, Daniel Pacella, amongst others in the Vermont Green starting 11. Matt, this is a group we've talked about it. There are a couple of returners, Ashford, Messer, and Pacella. Now back to playing the same formation they played last year. Game 1 in a 3-0 win for Vermont Green against the Boston Bolts. They went with a 4-1-4-1 formation as Jake Ashford once again wearing the captain band. How could changing formations affect this team? Is that difficult for a summer team like this to mold and affect their style of play so early on throughout the year, or is it just as simple as, look, we're still trying to figure everything out and figure out what works best at the moment?
I think a 4-2-3-1 is one of the easier formations to kind of really build the system and everyone kind of understand their roles with, just based off of like kind of its defensive characteristics. But, I can presume that Adam also wants to kind of experiment a little bit and see which formations kind of bring out the best out of those lineups. And a 4-1-4-1, he has Pacella sitting deep as that playmaker. He wants to see, okay, what is that 4 unit in front of Pacella, see how much they can create. 3 goals in your first, opening match of the season tells you that there's a lot of attacking power in this lineup. So I don't think we're necessarily always going to see a 4-2-3-1. I just think, maybe it's the home one. Let's keep it tight and neat and tight in the beginning and see how it plays out.
Let's just quickly run through the rest of the Vermont Green FC lineup. Nicholas Christofferson, a CF Montreal draft pick in the MLS draft, gets the start in goal. Nathan Messer, of course, the left back in his familiar spot. Bernardo Prego is on the right-hand side of that back four with Ochoa, Gomez, and Ashford in the middle. Then you'll see a really fun combination in the midfield for Vermont Green. Pacella, who we've talked a lot about, with a man from VCU, Musa Ndiaye. Ndiaye started at center back against the Boston Bolts, now moves into that sixth spot alongside Pacella. The three across the midfield are Federico Tejes, Zach Zengue, and Gevork Diarbian. Zengue and Tejes both scored against the Bolts, and then a change at striker. It was Nacho Lerech who started against Boston Bolts last week for Vermont Green at the top of the formation. Now the Davidson stud freshman, Denis Kruchenkov, gets the start at the top spot. Matt, you said it to me, big shoes to fill with Aitor Bjorgolfsson now playing for Seattle in the MLS. But Kruchenkov, a kid who scored 9 times this fall for Davidson, feels like there's a lot of firepower at the top of this formation in addition to the solid base.
He's going to have a lot of work to do, especially, whether it was the 4-1-4-1 or it's a 4-2-3-1. You have a lot of work to do to kind of create running into the channels. He's going to be, he's going to be sucking wind at the end of this match. But I like that Adam, one thing that I love that Adam did last season is that he rotated his squad, which led to a lot of success. It kept most of the squad as healthy as possible.
Look at that crowd. It is a packed house. You're getting a look at the Green Mountain Boys. Of course, we appreciate all of you who are watching along with us on our streaming site. We want to hear from you throughout this game. Tweet at us, #UpTheGreen, and you might see your tweet pop up on our screen throughout the course of this match. Tell us where you're watching from. We always love hearing from you. And Matt, Zach Zengue standing over the ball. Another Vermont season about to get underway. And it just brings a smile to my face. So great to be back. Let's go indeed. Vermont in their brand new green wildflower kits. The Vermont Green FC home season is underway, and the Green control early. A long ball in the direction of the 6-foot-tall freshman Kruchenkov. And a quick turnover from Vermont Green in the midfield that allows the Albany Rush to come forward with Zach Sauer down the left-hand side. This is their central forward, Jackson Gold. Cross ball to the far post. A tackle from Pacella. The ball falls to Lagamba, and he moves it out wide for Mickelson. Scooped up by Christofferson. Albany on the front foot to start, but Vermont Green's keeper handles cleanly.
Christofferson will like to get his hand on the ball actually pretty quick. You don't want to just be cold for 20 minutes and not take a single shot potentially. It stinks when all of a sudden a stinger comes your way.
Federico Tejes, the Northeastern man, drops it for Franklin Pierce Star, the Division II national title winners. Bernardo Prego on the right-hand side of this back four. Here's Ochoa Gomez with Messer. And the first look at the Green in possession. Messer brought down and draws an early whistle.
I noticed immediately, too, watching Pacella and Dia, because I'm going to be focusing on them a lot in this match because they're probably
You always focus on those midfielders.
I know. I have a predisposition to liking midfielders.
But what are you watching with them?
Well, I noticed them actually immediately. They're not stuck into, a vertical line down the middle of the field like, oh, no, I only play on the left side or the right side, which – yeah, granted, at the highest level, you don't see that, but it's not always as common as you see, down to USL 2 or USL 1 or in college, and they're already kind of rotating. They're almost splitting the responsibility of trying to receive the ball out of the back and be a playmaker deep. So I think they're both going to share a lot of the same responsibilities throughout the match.
Ndiaye, who was the starter at center back all spring for VCU. That's where he started in the game against Boston as well last weekend, but gets the start at central defensive midfielder alongside Pacella tonight. Ashford.
Great touch.
Picks out Zach Zengue. I'm really excited to watch him. Zengue was one of the backup players who came off the bench often for the powerful Georgetown Hoyas this fall.
My hometown team.
Did you grow up a Georgetown fan?
I did grow up a Hoyas fan.
Okay, so you're really going to like Zach Zengue. He didn't score in the fall, did pick up 1 assist. But he scored in his opener against Boston for the Green. And again, Messer draws a foul. Messer working with Gevork Diarbian up the right-hand side, or up the left-hand side, pardon. Ochoa Gomez forward, but Kruchenkov and Zengue not on the same page. Taken back by Lagamba.
Good defensive shape, though. Right in the beginning for it, there hasn't been any kind of immediate scares in the first 3-5 minutes. Looking like a good unit together.
Messer pushing forward. We know he loves to get in the attack down the left-hand side.
Oh.
Diarbian, neat little flick. The cross finds Zengue. Zach Zengue dancing inside the 18.
Good defense from Albany.
And Pachella. That's a strong tackle from Nash Barlow. The future Catamount teammates tangle.
It's good immediate pressure from Vermont, though. Immediately snuff it out. They lose the ball, and almost everyone tries to swarm in and get it back. It's a good work rate.
Talking with Coach Pfeiffer pregame, he did really stress we want to be ultra solid defensively this year. Not that they were necessarily a weak defensive team last year, but he really stressed to me that importance of how he wanted to play this season.
But you can tell, too, in the position of India just right away that it's fluid. And so that whole defensive philosophy that they have, throughout the entire team is everyone sort of shares a responsibility all the way from, your wings, your outside midfielders to even your central striker coming all the way back in to try to receive the ball.
Prego starting to carry. He splits the defense. A strong tackle. And Prego actually gets whistled for a foul in his attacking third. Look at James Knudsen starting in net for the Albany Rush. Knudsen from the University of Albany, making his second consecutive start between the pipes. It was a 2-1 win for Albany in their opener against Boston City FC. A year ago, Albany went 3-10-1, a finish in the bottom half of the Northeast Division here at the USL2 level. Vermont Green FC in their opening year last season went 9-4-1. That's a good ball down the line for DK, Dennis Kruchenkov.
Really good technique from Zengue, though. A little outside of the foot flick, but 50 meters right on point to his front foot. That's what Kruchenkov is going to be looking for, though. If he's going to be running into the channels, he's going to be looking for some service for it. You do it sometimes just to create space, but you do want the ball.
He got an early touch there. We're just over 5.5 minutes in. So far, Vermont Green, the edge in possession outside of an early shot on net that forced Nicholas Christofferson into some action for the Green. But again, they win the ball quickly back in the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Prego and Ashford. Jake Ashford, the captain, up the line, Tejes. And here's Zengue.
He's finding a lot of space already.
Diarbian brings it down. Messer on the overlap, but Diarbian on the cutback. Zengue tees it up and scores!
Woo!
Zach Zengue ignites the crowd.
What a strike.
And he poses.
Welcome to Vermont. Got to give a lot of credit to Messer, though. He draws in almost 3 defenders, then the quick little flick off.
And you saw it, Matt. Zengue has been finding all sorts of room in the middle.
Yeah, he's been finding little kind of like 5x5 pockets everywhere, quick one touch and then flick on. He's been involved, and it's only been 6 minutes, and he's already creating.
And he made that finish look easy. That's nothing but from well outside the 18.
No, not at all.
Well, the Georgetown Hoya, Zach Zengue, gets the fans on their feet. I mean, this is exactly what we expected from this team. Maybe not an early goal, but this type of performance in front of their home fans.
Really good defensive work. Everyone's, again, just swarming to get to the ball, just disrupt Albany's play, just get involved and try to get the ball back as quick as possible. Don't let them get into a rhythm. Right now, I think that's the key difference that I've noticed between Vermont and Albany is Vermont is their passes look just like a little neater, a little tighter, clean. They're linking up together really well. They're finding Zengue, who's doing the work himself to find the space, but, it only goes so long if everyone else isn't going to actually find him.
Ashford puts his laces through it. And Diarbian, in the end, poked away by Ben Byrne, the right-sided center back. It is hard to believe, watching this group play early, Matt, that they came together barely 2 weeks ago. Not a lot of time to gel, and this group already looks very comfortable from back to front.
Yeah, it looks like they've had a 6-week program already.
And that's a credit to this coaching staff, but there's a good through ball. In the end, Mickelson just unable to stretch his legs. Well read by Christofferson.
That's what you want to see out of your goalkeeper. Get off your line. You don't want to see a goalkeeper glued to his 6-yard box.
Zengue takes a bump from Lagamba. And now Lagamba clips Ochoa Gomez from behind. The central midfielder for the Rush. Almost trying to spark his team, it felt like, with a couple of challenges in a row.
Look at the position right now of India, too. He's allowing, Messer to get further up the field.
That pass a bit behind Pacella. Ashford wary of it. And here's Tejas. He's got options. Chooses Prego. Cook got over and took it away from the Vermont Green right back. I'm excited to watch Prego this summer. Bernardo Prego, who was a big part of the NCAA title run for Franklin Pierce, registered 6 assists in the fall. He can really whip it in with that right boot.
Good defensive cover and positioning from Ochoa there. Ashford goes up to pressure the ball, win a 50-50, but if he doesn't win the ball like just happened, you need to have that insurance behind you like Ochoa just gave him, which is part of that partnership that you want to see, the awareness. Be like, all right, if Ashford goes, I need to take those steps back just at an angle.
And here's Diarbian on the right-hand side. Zengue's the one who sent it forward. Kruchenkov lays it back. Diarbian and Kruchenkov. A giveaway from the youngster.
Oh, it looked promising. It looked like it could have been 2.
Albany unable to get anything connected on their counterattack.
They haven't been able to put together 4 passes, and every time that they've won the ball, it's actually just been almost an errant pass from Vermont. It hasn't necessarily been like a systematic win back of the ball from their shape or anything. They seem to be, 3-4 feet just too far from their mark, and that's why you're seeing like just a little bit of time on the ball for Vermont right now. They're able to kind of try to create as much as they want.
Pacella holds off the pressure, and this is Ashford.
Looking calm and collected in the middle of the back there.
Great ball.
A floater that Zengue's on the chase for.
It's set up.
Well defended by Cook. You're right, it just bounced a bit on the Virtue turf.
Yeah, it sort of just died in the middle of the air.
There's Bernardo Prego. He thought he'd picked the pocket cleanly of Zach Sauer, but
I'm curious who's going to become the hard man this season. You know what I'm saying? Like bald Roy Keane. Who's going to become the bald Roy Keane of this team? You need one in every single good team.
Well, he plays striker, but Nacho Lerech is fiery. So when we see him, he's the type of guy that certainly will be a firecracker when in the game.
Spice to his game?
A lot of spice. The Argentinian who played at Vermont a few years ago was known to rile up America East opponents.
I tell you what, if you want to watch something that's as close to UFC and soccer put together, watch the Argentinian League.
Nacho fits right in. He's coming off the bench tonight after scoring 1 goal against the Bolts. So far, Vermont Green with a Zach Zengue strike from outside the 18-yard box, the difference. That's a turnover from Prego that Cole Hellert takes back for Albany. Cook. Kruchenkov nipping at his heels. Cook kept carrying it.
But that's if you look from that bird's eye view, you see all of Vermont. They all shift over. They completely suck out the air of like the possession that Albany is trying to keep. And they're winning the ball back, in 2-3 passes until there's no time on the ball for Albany.
Kruchenkov shielding Cook. He picks up Tejas. Back to Sauer. And Golds, the focal point of this Albany attack, was shadowed by Ashford.
Well done.
Zengue again finds the ball on his feet. That's well won back by Nash Barlow.
That's Pacella doing his job.
Speaking of a guy who does the dirty work,
Yep.
I'm not sure if Pacella's the hard man, but he's certainly willing to stick his nose in.
No, I think sometimes you hear the term hard man, and I guess like to clarify, a hard man is kind of the guy that does the dirty work. That, you know, it's not glamorous what he does, but he consistently almost is always putting pressure on, winning the ball, keeping everything ticking. But yeah, occasionally, there's a studs up or maybe a late one.
Certainly will be curious to watch that as it unfolds this summer. Of course, the 11 that are starting today, obviously a talented crew, but reinforcements are coming. The full roster has not even arrived yet in Burlington. Zengue got to the end line.
Great ball. Oh.
Gevork Diarbian just couldn't quite handle it. It trickles for Messer. And look at Zengue again finding room. Pacella picks him out. Patient back to Prego. Zengue and Prego dancing down the right-hand alley. Again, the cross from Zengue a bit too deep, but it leaks through for Messer.
It's like a cat toying with a mouse.
Messer, the hesitation. We know he wants that left foot. Brings it back for Pacella. And Gold comes in to help out the Albany defense. Won it for a moment, but can't do much with it. Vermont resets.
This time the mouse gets away.
Albany have dropped back their defense. Vermont just squeezing them into the attacking third. Look at that space for Ndia and Pacella.
You can tell, too, that when a team's trying to kind of acclimate to another team's like level of possession and how many chances they're getting and how much rhythm they're getting, that they all of a sudden it looks like 2 blocks right around like the top of the 18. You're just like, all right, let's set up shop, lock it down here, because right now we can't seem to get a hold and we can't get a rhythm going.
They were able to get the defensive play on a tackle from Timo Jansen, but on the long switch intended for Sauer, Prego's there to take it back.
And that's the thing. That touch right there that let it, went astray, went 5 feet away from him. I was like, that's what Albany needs right now. They need the ball to stick to those players. They're trying to get out of defense. And if, they send a long ball for it. Oh.
Diarbian is blazing forward. Gevork Diarbian, options in the middle. Taken down on the challenge from Lucas Watt. Still Diarbian. A whistle going against him, though. Gevork Diarbian was moving down that left-hand sideline.
I question that call as a foul. I think that was pretty fair, but we'll let the ref.
Let's take a look. That left hand grabs the shorts.
Yeah, okay.
When you see that short tug, that's a giveaway for most
No, he
officials.
pulled it back, though. Wouldn't you fall back?
I'm not saying that it wasn't a bit of an easy Lucas Watt fall, but when the referee sees that short tug, then you're often going to buy the call, regardless of which way you tumble.
If you know you're going nowhere. Yeah. All right, I'll just go down. Ooh.
And a loud scream, Jackson Gold.
That seemed like a foul.
Turning over on the floor. And Vermont Green will play it out for Gold, who maintains his form on the Virtue turf.
It looked like he took like a knee, like a really hard knee right to the middle on the side of his quad.
The hope is the wind just got knocked out of him as we get a look at the challenge. There's Gold, a pretty good first touch, and Diego Ochoa Gomez went right through the back of him. You're right. I could have seen that one getting called.
But, I mean, you notice 3 Vermont players around him. The second he touches the ball, everyone's having no time to breathe, no time to actually settle.
That speaks to the organization, right?
Well, it's gonna show how much quality is there amongst this entire Albany team, because when you have no time on the ball, what do? You have to try to play one touch as much as possible. And that's going to go down to, all right, well, how much technical quality does this team have to kind of adapt to this? All right, so you don't have a lot of time. You're going to have to start playing one touch.
And we've seen Vermont look quite comfortable in the 1- and 2-touch moments so far. A team that finished third in the Northeast Division a year ago. Of course, many new faces on this roster, but in year 2, in existence as an organization, the expectations have certainly been elevated by Vermont Green FC. When you can return the likes of Ashford, Pacella, and Messer, with the obvious talent the rest of these players clearly possess, I think the expectations for Vermont Green are obviously to make the playoffs again, but I would imagine they've got thoughts on winning this division as well against longtime powers Western Massachusetts and Seacoast United. They want to be the challengers this year.
I think any returning player immediately wants to go right back to what they achieved and further from 2022 season, and all the newcomers understanding what they are coming into now. That they understand, all right, the bar has been set here. These are the expectations, and we will see who kind of rises up to it.
And, of course, a year ago, Matt, you and I got to see up close a lot of the regular season action, but then things got really special in the postseason. They went on a special run with some of their second and third pick choices at one point in the year, including general manager Connor Tobin was even manning the back line at one point. Kruchenkov just couldn't quite get on the end of that cut pass from Tejas. But it's one back. Kruchenkov.
I'd like to see a little bit more connection.
Out for a Vermont corner. Go ahead.
Just with Kruchenkov. I feel like I haven't really noticed him that much yet. And that's okay. It's still early in the match, but I want to see him get on the ball right now. Right now it's been a lot of Diarbian. It's been Zengue. It's been Prego. But I haven't really seen their center forward kind of be that final piece, a little bit of the glue to bring it all together.
The crowd to their feet as Zengue takes the Greens' first corner. Ashford and company come forward. Not dealt with cleanly. The ricochet back to the feet of Zengue. Nasty. Zach Zengue. But then a poor touch lets him down once he got space and he knows it.
Unfortunately, it goes out for a goal kick.
Right now, he is absolutely terrorizing them, though. I think he has been standout player.
Agreed. Real class issued by Zach Zengue so far. And, of course, the match's lone goal. Cole Hellert able to muscle it forward. And Sauer
Good ball.
slides it for Golds. Jackson Golds cuts back on his right. And DA comes in with the tackle.
Great defending.
Kept in by Tejas. And cheekily from Prego, intended for Tejas, but the ball clips back for Barlow.
I like it, though. It demonstrates a level of confidence.
Here's Lagamba. This is the most maintained Albany pressure since the opening moments. And Messer steps in well read. Well, so far when Vermont Green have had the ball, it's kind of been find Zach Zengue and let him cook. They've been patient amongst the back, but he's been the one who's had those incisive moments and passes.
Well, if you're also looking at, I believe it's Lagamba,
Yeah.
number 8, I've seen Zengue so far just always floating behind him.
Kind of playing off
He
him.
hasn't really noticed where he is. Right now he's in that zone between the center back and Lagamba.
Sure.
And he's finding those little pockets for it. You know, at halftime, they're going to need to identify that and try to correct it.
Ochoa Gomez leaves it for Ndie. Messer. There's some great pace down that left-handed flank between Diarbian and Messer.
Pacella with an ocean of space, too. You know, if right there, you know, receives the ball completely with no pressure whatsoever.
He always looks comfortable, Daniel Pacella, but today in particular. Here's Zengue. Challenged away from Tejas, onto the foot of Sauer, but there's Ashford. There's a rare mistake from Zengue. Barlow had the takeaway. Sauer avoids the stab of Prego, and Lagamba now feels the pressure of Zengue. Again, they're the two future teammates of Pacella and Barlow.
Going to need to keep it friendly for next season.
You could see the good sportsmanship as they stood up. That could be a potential pairing in the Catamount midfield. Hellert was able to evade Tejas. Whacked into
Watch
the
out,
stands.
kids. Look out, Mom.
Great to see. Again, so much community support. We saw it last season, of course, kind of grow throughout the course of the year, Matt. And then this offseason, seeing the support again from the preseason season ticket sales, the support of this club that has such a great message of climate justice is social justice, and being able to build that type of community impact through an football club, simply remarkable, and I'm always stunned by the support here in Burlington.
Listen, I have a very simple interest. I just want to watch soccer. But what I thought about, reflecting on the 2022 season and why it was so successful and why this club has been a success is because of its message and basically the foundation around it and how that speaks to this actual local community. These are the things that we all care about here. And I think that's where, some people that maybe were fair weather soccer fans all of a sudden really bought into it. Like, yes, I like all of these things, and that's why they're here.
And then there are people like you, the diehard soccer fan, who get introduced to maybe some things about environmental justice or things that you hadn't ever had an interest in before that I'm sure make you even more interested in a club like this.
I'm absolutely not too old to learn.
It's quite the ecosystem that's being built here in Burlington. Messer pounces on a ball for the green, and again, prancing down the left-hand side. Messer. Kruchenkov sees a brick wall of rush defenders and drops it back for Ndie.
Kruchenko couldn't quite pull the trigger there. The boys recycle it and send it down.
Do we know if Kruchenkov's left-footed or right-footed?
I don't know.
All right, we'll find out.
Almost pinpoint perfect by Ashford. But unfortunately, it goes out for apparently a goal kick.
Good to have Tom Proctor back as well, our quite boisterous PA announcer here. You can see that was Hellert who just shielded the ball below the goal line. Didn't take a piece of him. Lagamba surrounded. Prego shows off some athleticism.
And you can see there, Lagamba, that's his only option. He's got three players around him. He has to play a safer ball, a hopeful ball, as you would call it, high and far up.
Hopeful's a good word for it. Tejas. Pacella. He can lift his eyes up, that ball. Asking a lot of Messer. But Messer with that total pace down the left-hand side reels it in. Messer uses his right foot. A high arcing ball. Tejas. That's quite the touch. Still moving. Saved by Knudsen. Federico Tejas.
Great feet.
A bit of class.
Yeah, very difficult. That was a high lofting ball. He needed a perfect first touch just to actually give himself, an option. Dances around two players, gets a shot off. Well done.
Knudsen with good positioning. Taking quickly on the short corner. Something from the training ground. Zengue. A low ball across the 6.
Hit by Albany Rush. They just wanted to get rid.
I think Adam will be very pleased with how the team has played so far in this first half. But I know for a fact
Ndie got up for it.
Ooh.
Right into the palms of Knudsen. There's a physical play from the midfielder.
He's gonna want another one. He's gonna. As obvious as that sounds, though, the longer that a match goes 1-0 or 1-0, then there's that kind of looming possibility that they could sneak one. All they need is one really good break. It could just be a defensive error and that's it.
This is an Albany team that did score a pair of goals against Boston City. One counterattack, to your point, Matt. That's all it can take sometimes. And in your home opener, with, like we talked about, expectations and goals through the roof this year, 3 points feels like a necessity today.
Well, I think Adam will also remember, from last season that there was
Zengue taken down in a dangerous area. This could be a real chance at a free kick special.
But to finish that, no, is that I think Adam's going to remember the first half of the first last season, and that we kind of strung together, a win, then a draw, a couple losses, a win, and another draw. He would rather probably get this group of points now as early as possible to give yourself a little bit of breathing room as we go later into the season. It gives you more options to maybe rotate your team even more.
We got Tejas at 7.
Tejas, Ochoa Gomez, and Zengue all eyeing this up. This is almost position A, right?
I'm very curious who's going to take this.
It's Tejas with the left foot.
Oh.
That was not off the mark by much.
It's a good strike. Just off.
Tejas, who scored the season opening goal, cutting in from the left-hand side against the Boston Bolts. I mean, that is not wide by much. Trickled out along the sideline. The Green will have a throw. Prego carried that one. There's the Boston College man, Ochoa Gomez to Messer. I know Adam really likes having another Boston College Eagle on his side. When I asked him, Matt, who are the guys that you're really excited about, that was maybe the first thing he said. Well, I love having another Eagle on my roster. That's nice. Of course, Adam, the player at Boston College himself. Messer has come over to the right-hand side, but danced himself out of bounds. Albany the throw.
So what I've also noticed that we were kind of discussing about India is, how he played center back, that he has a lot
a miscue at the back. Kruchenkov taken down in the box. Nothing doing according to our official.
This game has a lot of action.
Diarbian ends up being in an offside position.
But noticing that India definitely, Pacella has a little bit more license actually now to get into the attack.
Anything there? Two guys both making a play on the ball.
I could see it go both ways.
That was Ben Byrne who caught a piece of Kruchenkov. But what were you saying about India?
But I've noticed India actually slot in with the defense in
Yeah.
possession. You start to see Messer moving forward, and you see Prego moving forward, and then India actually slots in. So it's actually kind of a back three. Even if we're, kind of fairly right in the middle of the field, it's definitely lock-up shop. We do not want to have like one of those weird breakaways that, I was kind of mentioning or leading to. So I can see that this is going to be primarily his role.
Diarbian, a pretty turn, moves it for Tejas. Tejas splits the defense, and the referee saying nothing in that, telling Tejas to get up immediately.
Great job, Ashford.
Ashford defending one-on-one with Gold.
And he has to win that,
Yep.
That is 1v1. You are last man. You have to win that.
A rebound finds Pacella. He puts his boot through it.
Not bad.
Confidence from Pacella. When India is dropping into that back line then, Matt, does that give Pacella more license to go forward, less license to go forward?
Yep, it gives him insurance behind him. It gives him the understanding that he can actually go forward, and he understands that India is there as that insurance.
India, who is a center back at heart, or maybe at least by trade, quite comfortable dropping into that back line. But the coaching staff so confident in his skills, they like him in that double pivot along with Pacella. There the two of them are combining. India. Messer. Ochoa Gomez. Clipped by Gold, and the flag goes up for a foul.
Seemed clean. I'm going to say that all match, though.
Matt's never seen a tackle that he thought was a foul.
Unless it's against, me.
The proverbs of Matt Montel, right?
Yeah. Someday I'll write a book.
I look forward to it. Pacella. Prego getting forward. Goodness. He is dancing with Hellert. That ball is on a string.
Borderline disrespectful.
Pacella.
Didn't
Corkscrewed it.
Yeah, didn't get the wraparound on it.
Immediate head in the hands from Pacella after not quite getting the contact clean of the service. Now it's Hellert, the left back, sliding forward. Pacella there for the tackle. It finds Zengue. I'm always so impressed by Pacella's work rate. He's always in the thick of things on both ends. Here's Messer. Oh, goodness. Nathan Messer towards Tellez. He strikes it. Knudsen. That's a big-time stop from the Albany Rush keeper.
That is a great save.
It was touched, though, by Tellez on the volley.
He got absolutely all of that. And make no mistake, this is very difficult technique.
Ooh.
He has to keep his eye on it. It almost looks like somebody's going to get on it right there, keeps his eye on it, strikes right through the center of the ball.
Strong palms from James Knudsen. He did not play for you, Albany, at all this fall, but that's a strong stop from the Albany Rush keeper. Chances continue to compound for Vermont Green FC. And Messer's kind of done whatever he's wanted down the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm. I think the one fear, and it's a minimal fear, but the one thing that can happen sometimes, what we're noticing is Albany hasn't been a threat for the first half. I think we can all agree on that. They have not been a threat. They can't seem to string together 3, 4, 5 passes together, get a rhythm going, create some attacking plays or anything. The other team, Vermont in this instance, can get almost a little bit too confident and maybe almost complacent, and that's why you sometimes see them take so many different touches. They almost get a little too creative, a little too cheeky, as someone would say, instead of kind of keeping it very simple and taking those shots for it. I haven't seen it grow into their game yet, but you're going to want to see some end product to all of this possession and get that second goal.
Tellez tackled by Hellert.
He's been practicing at home. Doesn't quite pull it off.
It does feel like with all the control Vermont Green have had, you're happy with the 1-goal lead, but definitely feel like you could be up by a couple.
Right, and you don't want a team to stop expressing themselves and to bring a degree of almost art to the game that they have, but you also want them to be pragmatic. You want that, the goal is to get the ball in the goal.
Whose job is it to remind them of that? That feels like something that I'm sure Adam can tell them, but during a match like this, that might be a hard message to relay. That feels like it might fall on Captain Jake Ashford.
Yeah, I think Ashford, probably Pacella being, technically a veteran at this point.
He is,
If he starts to notice his more, attacking players are maybe taking too many liberties and not keeping it simple and creating these very quick chances and shots on goal, that, he's going to maybe chew them out a little bit. But we haven't gotten there yet.
Into the 37th minute. A quick check on Diego Ochoa Gomez. He took a knock, what looked like to his head a moment ago, and our official, I believe, has spotted a potential head injury, which, of course, we take very seriously. You can look at Ochoa Gomez just being escorted off to the sideline, where the Vermont Green athletic training staff, led by Kate Harney, will give him a look. There's Kate. Oh, he might have had a little blood on him, in fact. This is where it seems simple for Ndie to just slot into the back line. Messer called for a foul. A free kick inside the attacking third for Albany.
Harsh.
Messer, look at him right there. Disbelief.
Slightly dangerous
He still can't believe it. Now, these are the moments you're talking about, Matt. You can't fall asleep, even though you've been in control for almost the entirety.
Yeah, the onus is on Albany to make this count. I mean, they haven't had much of maybe 2, 3 chances at most. This might be the third, so.
Timo Jansen, the left-footed in-swinger. Christofferson stays home, and who else but Jake Ashford rises up to win the header.
With a big header to send it back out.
The guy's like a homing beacon. He always is in the right place.
And there's Christofferson to gobble up the cross from Ben Byrne.
Great communication.
We
You could tell
talked.
India was going for it and immediately ducked.
We've talked about the big shoes to fill at striker, but again, Christofferson, he was a part of this Vermont Green FC roster a year ago, but did not feature often as the starting netminder. Nate Silvera most often claimed that role, now playing professionally in the minor levels with Charlotte FC. Going to be really interested to watch Christofferson throughout this summer, a player with big-time potential as an MLS draft pick.
It's difficult, as the goalkeeping position is incredibly difficult to kind of stay sharp and stay ready, because when you have your number one goalkeeper and he's as outstanding as he was, how do you take him out of that? It's that one position that you don't actually tend to rotate much, but you have to be ready in case, and especially now, all right, we're in the next season, this is your time.
There's Knudsen taking the cross out of the air from Prego. Knudsen has been solid throughout this half. A big stop of Tejas highlighting what has been overall a performance that I think Knudsen will be pleased with. And he even got a piece of the Zach Zengue strike. Definitely clipped a bit of the fingernail of the Albany keeper. Well read by Ashford.
He's been doing that all first half. Just reads exactly. He knows exactly where the ball is going to drop.
A poor touch from Gold. Ashford pounces.
So calm.
He's definitely not the best, or I should say the most athletic. Not going to jump out of the gym or beat everyone in a foot race. But you're right, calm, composed. We know what we can expect back there from the captain and right center back.
It reminds me of, if you're going to look at, like, the absolute highest level and you think of all, like, I don't know, you could bring up the Premier League greats and current ones like, John Stones or Rio Ferdinand or John Terry. These guys weren't, the blistering athletic players. They were very fit for what they needed to be, but they're not there to necessarily impress you with how fast they can sprint or even their tackles. He's the Rolls Royce, as they can sometimes term. He doesn't look like he's out of breath almost ever because of his positioning.
Gold will test his pace a bit there, and Ashford nods it out for a header.
I am curious who's going to be sniffing at Ashford, come at the end of this season, because I do think he warrants a look.
He does have remaining college eligibility. Some of these guys not even sure of their fall plans quite yet. Hellert, a short throw in. Ashford sweeps away after it leaked away from Sauer. And Dia has some trouble with it. Into space by Messer. Diarbian can fly.
Good tackle.
Good tackle. That was Ben Byrne coming over.
Diarbian fell that one.
You could see Messer's idea, though, that, man, let's just put it into space for the speedster Diarbian. And look at Byrne's tackle. He wins it cleanly, clatters Diarbian a bit. But that's a solid tackle in the back from the Albany center back.
It's two ways to kind of play, and you like to see that out of the team, like that they can have this level of possession and this really great shape in possession and knock the ball around, try to create these little 1-2s everywhere and have that going on. But then when they see Albany starts to push up and they're like, all right, we're further up the field finally. We're getting a little bit of breathing room in this part of the real estate here. And next thing you know, you've got to deal with essentially Diarbian or Tellez with all these wheels, or even Messer if he gets on the overlap. And that makes you, as Albany, just very wary of the possibility. So it's tough to commit to go forward.
It's Zengue, a free kick in the attacking third. Jansen able to get rid of it Diarbian.
Back to Diarbian, who couldn't quite keep hold of it, and Albany Rush get a chance to break.
Mickelson was hustling up the right. And back for Zengue. Ochoa Gomez unable to put his laces through it. And now it's Mickelson. A slight chance on the counter with some numbers ushering forward for Albany. Barlow. Ochoa Gomez recovered. And Lagamba settles it back down.
Albany doing a good job for just a little spell here right now. They're getting their time. It's kind of flowed now to them for the last couple minutes. They're trying to create something. They're further up the field. They've got this kind of umbrella shape that's starting to develop as they are in possession.
Pacella fouled by Barlow.
Just needs a little bit of quality.
Again, good sportsmanship between Barlow and Pacella. Just a physical play there. I don't think Barlow had any idea where Pacella was, but
I can agree with his frustration. He kind of just stood his ground, and I think he even got ball.
Pacella ran right into him. Zengue leaves it nicely. Kruchenkov on the turn. It's Dennis Kruchenkov.
Oh.
He rings the pipe in the final moments of the first half. The first chance for DK. Dennis Kruchenkov inches from scoring his first in the green.
Oh, he's going to hate that too because we haven't seen much out of him from this match. It's a good breakaway. Oh, it's good technique. It's just so unlucky.
That was the first big threading move by our star striker, number 14, Kruchenkov. Next time he will see it.
And now into the extra moments of the opening 45. Zach Zengue's 6th minute bomb from outside the 18-yard box have Vermont Green FC in the lead. They've come oh so close to adding on with chances for Tejas and now Kruchenkov. But maintaining a 1-goal advantage as we wait for the final whistle of the opening 45. Of course, stay tuned during halftime. We'll give you some halftime updates as well, and that brings the opening 45 minutes to a close. Here's another look at the Kruchenkov chance. Chipped it by Knudsen beautifully and did not miss by all that much. Through 45 minutes, it's Vermont Green FC 1, Albany Rush 0. 45 down, 45 to play in Burlington. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more of Vermont Green FC football.
Vermont. I see one. Hey, we're Vermont Green fans too. I'm David Mears. I'm with Audubon, Vermont. And we thought we'd ask you a few questions to see how much you know about keeping Vermont green. So I'm going to turn it over. I am from the Vermont.
Who loves farms and local food? Yeah! At the Vermont Land Trust, we've protected over 1,000 farms that contribute to the abundance of local meat, veggies, dairy, and maple products that feed our families.
Who loves healthy forests, clean air and water, and sustainable communities? Woo! At Vermont Natural Resources Council, we've been collaborating and advocating for the protection of Vermont natural resources for over 60 years.
All right, who loves hiking and camping in the Green Mountains? The Green Mountain Club works hard to protect and maintain 500 miles of hiking trails and facilities so that they're free and open to the public.
All right, and last but not least, who loves birds? Yeah! And what do birds need? Birds need green mountains and silver waters. Who else needs green mountains and silver waters? You do, right? Well, Audubon loves birds, and Audubon loves you, so we spend our time protecting our green hills and silver waters. So thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks to Vermont Green for having us here. And we've got one final question, which is, which team is going to win tonight? You said Albany Rush? Oh, Vermont Green. Let's keep Vermont green. Keep Vermont green. Keep Vermont green. Keep Vermont green. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thanks so much. Thank you. And thank you, Maya.
A dominant opening 45 minutes for Vermont Green FC. In their home opener, they lead Albany Rush 1-0. Brian McLaughlin, Matt Montel with you at halftime. And Matt, a stunning goal from Zach Zengue to start the scoring. Here's a look at it. The Georgetown man for Vermont Green at Virtue Field gets things started.
And what a strike it is. Absolutely hits it true. Kind of cuts through on the left side, so gets that outside spin. Goalkeeper gets a hand to it, but it's just too much.
What did you observe overall from the possession in the first half? Because Vermont Green had a lot of it. They're able to capitalize once, had a couple other big chances, but unable to extend the lead. What did you see in that side of the game?
I think it's a couple things. I think you're noticing there's a little bit of a gulf in technique and class between Vermont Green FC's players and Albany, and that could be, maybe it's a fitness thing. Maybe it's just not enough time. We don't know necessarily if Albany's been together as much as maybe Vermont Green has been able to. But I also notice, and it ties into our defensive quality, having Ashford and India jumping in and Ochoa, they're coming up high and they're joining into that attack, into that possession. So say Albany, wins the ball from an errant pass or a tackle, you've got Ashford who's got immaculate positioning that he's able to just immediately win the ball back and then recycle it and then keep it going. And it's exhausting for Albany to try to get the ball back from it. And I think that's going to be something that we want to see the exact same of in the second half. I don't think there's a lot that Adam's going to want to change for. I think maybe all he's going to say is get that little extra 5% of quality in that final ball to lead to the strike on goal.
Kruchenkov, thoughts on the striker through the opening 45 minutes, that big chance inside the last 30 seconds that rings the pipe. Overall, didn't really see a ton of him, though, it felt like.
I think he's maybe a little bit of a victim of how deep Albany have been defending, and he is that, technically he's a lone striker up there, and he's supposed to kind of create as much as that he can for himself. And that kind of goes back to where Adam's going to say, just turn it up 5%, just get that little extra bit of quality. Maybe we'll see a little bit more end product out of Kruchenkov. And that's really just it. He had his chance at the end. I think he's going to want another, a couple obviously, and hopefully he gets his.
3 points are up for grabs. 45 minutes to play from Virtue Field. I'm Brian. He's Matt. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes for the second half between Vermont Green FC and Albany Rush. A Zach Zengue goal, the difference. I saw one of our tweets right there. Matt described it as zesty for ZZ. Vermont Green leads through the opening 45 minutes. Of course, still 45 to play as Vermont Green looks for their second consecutive win to start the season.
A zesty Zengue goal? Is that what we're going to call it?
Zengue goal. And I believe Vermont Green have made a couple of changes. Nacho Lerech, the Argentinian, now at the top of the formation. That's number 21 in the green and white, chasing the ball. And Charlie Adams, the Green Mountain boy himself from down the road in Norwich, now in the game on the right-hand side of the midfield three. He's replaced Federico Tejas. So a couple of changes in the attacking end, Matt, as Coach Adam Pfeiffer, a bit of a tweak to his personnel to start the second half.
Yeah, and I expect it, honestly. He needs to see something out of, basically see the performance and where everyone kind of stands right now. So expect that kind of rotation as we move forward into the season, first half or second half, seeing that rotation.
Adams plays that ball out of play. Adams, of course, the player for Brown during his fall campaign. He scored 4 goals last year for the Vermont Green FC side and is actually the leading returning scorer. There's a strong tackle from Diarbian. He's got Lerech. Feeds it through for Adams. Adams tackled off of him on the cutback and picked up by Lagamba.
Good defending from Albany, though. Last ditch, but quality.
Ashford steps in front of Gold. No nonsense, right out of play.
Albany rush box, already looking threatening.
Mickelson on the chase, but easily handled by Messer. And that's played out by Lucas Watt.
Diarbian's pressure gives us a throw-in on the left-hand side, just in Albany rush territory.
Nacho Lerech, the new striker.
Taking up good space now.
Prego towards Lerech, handled by Knudsen.
Like it, he floats in from behind that center back and then takes the space right when he sees that the ball is going to be coming, goes right and forward. It's a nightmare to defend it if you do it very well.
Lerech pressuring Cook. Prego, the defensive header.
Prego with the 2 biggest chances of the second half so far. It's looking dangerous out there.
Lucas Watt picks up some space in front of Diarbian. A lofted ball intended for Mickelson. Ochoa Gomez neatly down for India.
Big Moose man, calm as you like in the center.
Musa India. Tom Proctor, our PA announcer, just called him the Moose Man. I mean, Moose is an easy nickname for him. He's a big fella taking up a lot of space in the center of the field. Here's India. Moose. Diarbian. Tackled away from Zengue, but it pinballs to Messer. Messer. Taken away by Cook. Intended again for Nacho.
This is immediately almost like a quicker level of possession. They're keeping the possession, but it's almost much more direct.
Diarbian tried to nutmeg Watt. Clattered out of play. It stays with Vermont Green right in front of the Green Mountain boys. Zengue's pass off the mark for Messer. And again, Ashford kind of playing sweeper, backs everybody up.
Gala switching play to the right-hand side.
Prego. He's taking up all sorts of room. Prego slides it through. Nacho Lerech stretches for it, but could not get a piece. What a run from Prego to set up Nacho.
I tell you what, if that's real grass, that ball sits just enough for him. It's hard to time those out on turf.
Immediate impact, though, from Nacho since getting inserted at striker. He's looked dangerous on a few of those runs. Lagamba's ball forward, cut out by Pachella, and Diarbian back for Diego Ochoa Gomez.
Well, you're noticing Albany is trying to press up higher. They're trying to win the ball higher up in the field right now at the beginning of this second half. And there's those pockets for, Zengue, or you just saw Prego. He saw his opening, his lane, and he drives into it. And that's the trade-off that you get.
Ashford has a couple free. It's Zengue. Nacho Lerech had the pass come behind him. Knudsen scrambling to recover. And another big chance that Vermont Green comes away empty on.
So unlucky. I thought he might be able to heal it, just get a little back heel.
Substitution for Vermont Green at the halftime. Number 14, Krutchenkov coming off for number 21, Nacho Lerech, who has looked so dangerous at the start of the second half. The second substitution,
Sauer.
number 7,
Strong Pacella tackle. That's Dylan Maxon, the UNH midfielder, now joining the party. Diarbian again shows his pace. On the cutback. He's got options. Diarbian. And Cook gets a flick clear. And
Come on,
DA lost out to Sauer, but Gold is offside. Flag up.
Good idea by Albany. Big ball over the top. We call that Route 1 football. This time caught by the offside trap.
If I'm counting it right, that's 3 very, very open moments right there in the midfield that Vermont has had, and that has to be down to Albany just getting forward, and it's almost a little bit reckless because you're just seeing like these just absolute huge openings, and I mean, I almost feel bad for Krutchenkov because honestly, if he had maybe 2 or 3 of these chances, he might have had his goal.
His one big chance, Krutchenkov rang the post in the first half. The Davidson striker, so clinical during his fall campaign. And here's Nacho Lerech from a tough angle. Barely drags it wide. Again, Nacho, so close.
It's looking like a matter of time.
There's the Argentinian who played collegiately at the University of Vermont. Now a professional, one of the true veterans on this squad. A bit of a play by Nacho physically. Wow, that is close.
And again, you see he takes these little positions just behind where you can't see him, and he just sneaks right in front of you. He knows where the ball's going to go, and he sneaks right in front of that defender.
Lagamba drops for Cook. Charlie Adams the takeaway. A heavy touch. Quick ball. Left for Diarbian!
Absolutely class goal. Class team goal.
It's Gevork Diarbian. His first as a member of Vermont Green FC.
And you see him just leave it off. He knows that somebody's darting in from the left side. Great decision. Great goal.
Adams will notch the assist. But look at Nacho. Leave that ball into the open spot, and Diarbian not going to miss many from there. The leading scorer for Providence this season. Now on the board as a member of the Green. And the Green Mountain Boys and the Vermont Green fans can celebrate. There's Diarbian and Lerech.
I tell you what, I take nothing away from the quality of the goal from the entire team itself, but I can't imagine anything worse than seeing Adams come on and you've been running ragged for 45 minutes. You haven't had the ball, and now you have to mark him.
Charlie Adams, who we saw last year, so creative, such great touch when he's on the ball. And he's the one who slid it across into such a dangerous space. Off of an Albany turnover, it's worth pointing out. They turned it over close to that defensive third. And Vermont Green, who have come up empty in some pretty primo scoring chances today, did not miss that opportunity.
It's the mark of a good team, though, that they continue to create. Sometimes you're only going to get, you only create 4 chances. And if you don't take any of them, well, the obvious happens. You walk home, primarily empty-handed or possibly a tie from there. But they've consistently kept turning the screw. And you can tell that Adams said, don't change anything in the second half. Maybe just speed it up a little bit, turn it up 5%, and now you're seeing the end product from it.
A year ago, these two teams met twice.
Good touch.
2 3-0 Vermont Green FC wins. And Charlie Adams, Matt, scored 3 of his 4 goals all summer against Albany Rush. He just loves putting up points against this side. The assists tonight for Adams. Green goals from Zengue and now Diarbian. And Albany Rush, who entered today with a 1-0 record in the Northeast Division of USL2. Of course, in the Eastern Conference. Now with quite the hole to dig themselves out of, and they have not had very many big scoring chances.
It's a good sequence of play from Albany there.
Golds, a low ball across. There's a strike, and Ashford the block.
Right place, right time, all the time.
Taking it away from Zach Zengue, who's entered the game up top for Albany Rush, moving Gold to this right-hand side.
What was it we crowned Ashford last season? Captain Consistent?
Captain Consistent was one of the things we said. You can say right place, right time, and I agree, but how much of that is instinctual, Matt? When you just happen to always be the guy who gets in the way of shots and just end up being on the end of some of those long balls?
It's the difference between somebody who's like great at something versus just becomes good. You can train till you're 18, in this position, and you can probably become pretty good. But what, makes you great at it is having that innate instinct of where to be at the right time.
Flag up on Diarbian, so back to Albany. But that's as good of a chance as Albany have seen today. That last chance that was blocked by Captain Consistent Jake Ashford.
At 2-0 as well, they're going to have to be more adventurous, and we might see a couple more opportunities come out of that they take more of a chance. I think maybe they try to play it a little conservative and got a little bit roasted on the possession side in the first half, and now they're going to be maybe a lot more direct.
That's a pretty move down the left-hand flank. Sauer, unable to beat Prego. Ochoa Gomez.
Ooh.
That's well done through
love
the press.
That. I love that. That's belief.
And here goes the speed of Diarbian. Turns the corner. Gevork Diarbian for Nacho Lerech. It's Nacho!
Goal. Take a bow.
Diarbian to Lerech.
Diarbian just turned it up in the second half. Taking on 3-4 players, and then with the perfect weight pass. And it almost looks like it's gone, just gets it off.
The Argentinian, Nacho Lerech, has his second of the season. And the fiery Argentinian already playing to the crowd. There's another look at it. Some patience there for Lerech as well before the easy left-footed finish.
He's had his chances, and he, didn't get enough luck in previous. He's like, I'm not missing this one.
A pair of goals inside the opening 14 minutes of the second half. And that one was seemingly out of nothing, Matt. Not really through possession. Diarbian just beating his defenders with speed. And then the finishing product, clinical this time for Vermont Green.
I can tell he's going to be a really exciting player to watch this entire season. Pace alone, he has just days of.
If he and Messer are down this left-hand side together, that is going to be a handle for anybody who has to defend them down the flank.
Yeah, especially if we start to see Diarbian take a little bit more of – right now we're noticing he wants to be out wide so that he can cut in. He gives himself that amount of space to then all of a sudden build up a head of steam. But I think, as they start to get this, partnership going down the flanks, you'll start to actually see Messer get involved because we know Messer likes to attack. We know he likes to get involved.
Gold for Barlow. Well positioned by Ochoa Gomez. But a corner coming for Albany, their first of the evening.
Sales will end in the 75th minute. You've got 15 minutes until last call, ladies, gentlemen, and friends. 15 minutes until last call for all alcohol.
There's the tweet from Blazing Musket. They did indeed get another one. Again, tweet at us with hashtag #UpTheGreen. Maybe to see your tweet on screen. We'll try to shout you out if we see it. That's Maxon, a left-footed in-swinger. And the striker Lerech, positioned on the near post, heads it down.
It's interesting. It looked like a zonal defending between Ashford, Ochoa, and I almost want to say Pacella. It was Lerech. All three of them standing in that one zone right at the 6.
Now Zengue a chance to show off his wheels. He's running with Lagamba and slows it down for the right back of Prego. And there's some patience and maturity from this green squad. No reason to really go full throttle on that counter. Well, when you're looking at this Northeast Division to this point, Western Massachusetts has just played the most games. They're on top with 7 points. A pair of wins and a tie last time out against Seacoast United. I think it's shaping up between Vermont Green, Seacoast, and Western Mass. They were the top 3 teams last year, and early signals are they would likely be the top 3 again this season. Of course, so much soccer still to play, as Lerech is penalized for being too physical on the back to goal.
Is it death, taxes, and a rivalry with Seacoast United?
Yes, I think that's fair to guess. Seacoast has a couple of Vermont Catamounts playing, as well as a whole handful of New Hampshire Wildcats. The preeminent rivalry in America East soccer.
Seacoast United, those guys play in like -15 year-round. I think they have heated turf.
Miss me with that.
Yeah, miss me with that.
I'm just glad we're finally up over 50 degrees here in Burlington.
I know.
It is a gorgeous night now. The sun has set. I can stop shielding my eyes from the sun over the horizon.
We get best of both, We get the nice, warm sun for one half, and then we get, footy under the lights.
Gold. That's a pretty ball to the back post. Just mishandled by Sauer. Albany have generated a few more of those chances this half. They haven't necessarily threatened Nick Christopherson in net, but they have started to at least put some service into the box.
It's just unfortunate for them. It's too little too late. If they were creating these chances in the first half, this might be a completely different game. But, yeah, I give them credit. They're creating in this second half a lot more.
Ochoa Gomez heard the shout from Diarbian, but it's well read by Watt.
Oh.
Ooh.
Thought we were going to see the
Diarbian. He just willed his way through the pair of defenders. And now Messer with Diarbian. Nathan Messer to the end line with his left. Well done by Ben Byrne, tackling it out for a corner.
Ask and you shall receive this little link-up play between Diarbian and Messer. And this you'll probably see develop a lot more over the season.
They are so quick as a combo and dangerous. Vermont Green plays it short with the corner. Pacella. Nothing comes of it. That's not exactly what they would have drawn up. But Ashford, that's Ashford to Adams. Lerech again. Zengue saved by Knudsen. How did he keep that out?
Quality save.
Messer. Foot to the throttle, but Knudsen rises up and snares it. Another good chance for Zengue and Lerech. Adams again the service.
Was it the ball from Ashford? Was it Ashford that gave him
Ashford to Adams and then the cross. Looked like Lerech almost was able to surge and get a piece of it, and Zengue the one who got denied.
It's a luxury to have a center back that can pass a ball to the front foot of your forwards, over 40 meters. That's not exactly as common as people think it is.
We all want to be Nacho, man. Who isn't a fan of that kid? That shot rips the side of the netting. A good look for Lind. Again, there's a bit of a threat from Albany. A Vermont Green side that have yet to allow a goal this season. DA, a partial clearance. A good cutback to Lind, and his shot well watched and covered by Christofferson, but certainly more and more threatening moments from Albany. Bodies bounce off of Pacella.
Yeah, it might get a little chippy from Albany, honestly, trying to get the ball back, and you can't really blame him for it.
Free kick taken by Vermont Green.
Again down this left side, Diarbian, Messer, Ochoa Gomez, India, Pacella.
And Diaz quietly had a almost immaculate game.
It's kind of like what we've talked about in the past with Pacella. Sometimes when those players that are in the sixth spot, you don't notice them, that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. He's kept things neat, tidy, consistent, helped out the back line, been, that playmaker from deep. But, again, going back to having the luxuries, you've got Ochoa and Ashford also can pass. So you have three players from so deep that can actually find their attacking players, accurately.
Adams, he's been in the thick of things since entering. Adams gets it back from Pacella, but a flag up, somebody in an offside position.
Fairly sure it ended up being an offside.
Where do your eyes go at this point in the match, Matt, with 3 points pretty firmly in Vermont Green's grip? What are you watching for so early in the season?
From this point, I'm kind of actually looking to see how much they just control the game. At 3-0, it really, at that point, it's don't give up a goal. Now you're just thinking about clean sheet. You want to do it for your goalkeeper. You want to do it for yourself as a team. Now I'm looking to see how much they almost just, suck the life out of the game almost sometimes. It can seemingly be boring, but that is what a professional performance would look like, is we keep this very consistent and clean, and then you see all of a sudden these moments of brilliance from Diarbian, and that's fine. But outside of that, it's minimizing, risk and not getting a little too complacent.
Minimizing risk. That's a great way to put it. There's Ndie, again in the right spot, and here's a potential counter. Numbers with Lerech leading the charge. Diarbian disrupted just enough by Byrne. For a moment, it looked like a 4-on-2 developing for the Green. And Messer and Ndie not on the same page. Prego does pretty well to hold off Sauer.
Lovely, cool, calm,
well done.
Yeah, that was nice.
Very well done.
Maybe his most impressive moment of the game for Prego.
Lesson Diarbian linking together so well this evening. What a match made in heaven.
Ooh.
Indeed. He's starting to let everybody know, okay, I can handle the ball as well.
Oh, I know that I've said, he's been very kind of simple and consistent, and you could almost just, it wouldn't be right, but you'd say like almost boring, but then all of a sudden you can see he's got skill.
Yeah. Messer, across from deep, Lerech!
Oh, got that one wrong.
The first miscue from Nacho since he entered. What a ball from Messer, though.
He wants that one back.
That was put on a dime. And look at him, the Argentinian talking to himself.
He knows he could do better.
I mean, Nathan Messer, my goodness.
Great ball.
Oh, It is on his forehead. You like watching those guys in the middle, the holding midfielders. I love a good whipped-in cross. The players on the outside, that's my favorite spot to watch on the field, and there aren't many better than Nathan Messer.
I mean, I grew up with David Beckham. I appreciate it myself.
A couple of substitutions coming for Vermont Green. It looks like Zengue will exit. Jack Cloherty, teammate of Charlie Adams at Brown, entering. Cloherty enters for Pacella in the 70th minute. He will partner with Ndie in the midfield. And entering up top, this is interesting, Matt. Another striker from Creighton and hails from London, England. Alfie Pope enters up top. It looks like he might be the focal point, and Lerech might slide back into the spot that Zengue was possessing as kind of that number 10.
What was it? He had 4 goals, 2 assists for Creighton, I think, this year?
He did. Alfie Pope. Adams spots Diarbian.
Good ball.
Diarbian. It's Nathan Messer. Crosses. Rebound. Denied. Lagamba pounces on it for the rush. And now Lind in a one-on-one chance with Ashford. And Ashford pounces on the first poor touch he saw. Just for a moment you thought, ooh, Lind might have a step on him here.
Nope. And I never doubted Ashford to have that one. I think Ashford knew that he's going to go forward, and he just took that space just behind him.
It was almost like, yeah, go ahead and try it, buddy. Someone get nacho hats for all these fans. I agree. Can we get some nacho merch? His first name is Ignacio Lerech, but everybody calls him Nacho. Dating back to his days at the University of Vermont.
If that's not a soccer name, I don't know what is.
That's a poor ball from Ashford, not on the same page with somebody.
Uncharacteristic.
Gold can press, beats Ochoa Gomez. Now Ndie coming over.
Well done. And that's what he's there for. You know, that's the insurance that he provides.
So physical there. That was impressive, just his ability to explode into good positioning, and then, yeah, you're not getting by me.
He looks solid.
Sure does.
He looks like I would bounce right off him.
Well, he's listed as a center back. That's where he's been trained throughout most of his career. But the Vermont Green FC coaching staff really feel like, and in talking with Musa, that they think he could be a real partner with Pacella in the midfield due to that physicality, but then he's also got the skill and the pace to really go for a full 90 minutes in that opportunity spot.
When I was working for one of the local soccer clubs, Capital Soccer Club, when we, around like the age between 12 and like 16, a lot of players, they would play in lots of different positions, but they would, if they start to kind of more or less start playing as a center back, they would also, we as the coaches would introduce them into the midfield if they had that type of technical quality that we were noticing, so that they get used to actually playing with the ball a little bit more instead of simply just tackling and defending.
It's going to be fascinating to watch Musa Ndie and how he adapts to that central midfield spot throughout this year. Because personally, it probably adds a ton of value for him in his career going forward, saying, look, if you ever need me to play center back,
dynamic,
that's where I've been. But I can help you most as a central midfielder. That's got to be enticing for scouts.
Yep, gives you lots of options too as for Adam.
That's a fair point, even on our level. Prego, a good move. That ricocheted off of Pope, defended by Byrne. Barlow outlets wide. Prego lets it trickle out for a throw. And just to finish up on Musa Ndie, I got a chance to watch training the other day, Matt, and after training, I'd watch them play full 11 on 11, then I'd watch them do some finishing, go through a full day of training. Ndie, afterwards, everybody else had gone to the locker room as there he is stepping in to take the ball away. He stayed on the field and was doing full field sprints by himself.
Of course.
Adams. He pirouettes. Adams to Charlie Pope, and Knutson palms it away again.
What a save.
James Knutson has kept this thing from getting really out of hand. He has been, to me, the standout Albany performer. Well worked, though, by Adams, who almost notched his second assist, finding Pope. And here goes Messer. His turn to whip one to the far post. Pope! And he'll want that one back.
I tell you what, Messer is dropping it off the dinner table right for him, for all the forwards.
What a move from Adams. I mean,
here you go, dog. Have a bite.
But wow, Knutson kind of behind him to get his palm back to it. That was excellent.
Yeah, I couldn't give you the exact on what would be the expected average saves, but if you're taking 20, 22 shots, you're probably going to let in maybe 2 or 3. Yeah. So he's done his job.
And it's not like on any of the goals. He had options to do a whole lot better. Andrew Kusek from Ithaca off the bench racing forward for the Albany Rush. And DA classily to Messer. Lerech's pass off the mark towards Diarbian.
Little detail I'm noticed with India too is he puts his palm out, just to ask for the ball. And some midfielders, they kind of want almost like that easy pass, or they're worried that they're going to lose it. He absolutely does not shy away from it at all.
Adams flips it forward for Lerech. Nacho Lerech. Diarbian again working with Messer. Diarbian to the end line. Beats his man. Cuts it back, but into traffic. Unable to find a boy in green in the middle.
How is it still just 3-0?
Tom Proctor just really leaning in there.
There are a lot of things about Tom Proctor. Saying he doesn't go all in is not one of them. That man is full tilt all the time.
Foot down.
And now some patience from Albany. This is as slowly as they've worked it, just trying to get a breath, I'd have to imagine, after facing an onslaught over the last 10 to 15 minutes. The ball forward from Cook, intended for Lind. Ashford reads it.
Good play.
Ashford earns the goal kick. Quite casually.
Yeah, that was a little bit of trouble there. He was in a little bit of trouble with his, back to the corner flag. If he loses it, this turns into a chance.
Another Vermont Green change coming. This looks like the Binghamton Bearcat Carter Bolia, another returner from last year's Vermont Green squad. He'll enter it right back for Prego. Those two also changed places
in for Benny Prego
in the game against the Boston Bolts.
I think Adam will be really pleased, too, with how fit Vermont Green has looked.
They have.
It's something that I've just kind of noticed this entire match. Maybe it's down to our immaculate climate in Vermont, There, sold.
I also have to think that they probably give a ton of credit to these players who showed up in game shape. There are a variety of guys on this team that feel very comfortable playing a full 90 minutes, even in the warm temperatures of summer months. Now, that may seem obvious that, you're going to play in warm weather in the summer. A lot of these guys playing in the fall and spring seasons are used to cold weather climates. So I would imagine there's a bit of an adjustment, especially on the warm Virtue Field turf, to playing 90 minutes when it's 70, 80-plus degrees.
That's a good point. We're not even at, July yet, and it gets hot on that turf.
It gets warm. I was even just down there pregame today when I interviewed Coach Pfeiffer and made the remark of, man, it feels like 15 degrees warmer down on this turf than up it did in the broadcast booth.
It just traps the heat.
Dylan Maxson. Knutson launches away.
That's exactly what Green would want is, put all the pressure up there, make them go long, win the ball back, and then here comes the exhausting part for Albany is here comes another 2-3 minutes of possession where they have to chase it, and if they chase and chase and chase, well, physically you just get more and more exhausted and space starts opening up more and more. So what do? But you're down 3-0, so you kind of have to try to go for it a little bit.
The Green just taking the air out of this game. Cloherty's ball. Messer makes that look routine despite it being a difficult ball to handle. And Messer somehow got a pretty good ball away.
Speaking of fitness,
he has just torched this left-hand sideline all night.
That's what I remember from last season was just absolute elite fitness.
Ochoa Gomez wants the early ball. Bolia presses forward, crosses! Nacho inches away. He wanted a second. I love the emotion that Nacho plays with. He thought he should have scored. Slightly misplayed on the back end. Bolia pounces. Not far off target.
That's what you want out of your forward, though. You want them to be almost selfish. You want them to be critical of themselves. They can always do better.
Maxson drops for Knutson. Cook and Knutson. Linds. That was a good take. Spots a teammate out wide. Bolia ties him up, literally, and takes it.
Calm from India. Out of the back. Oh.
Maxson got back on it. Works it wide. This is the left back, Hellert, who got forward. The ball finds Adams.
Great ball.
And look at Lerech. She's got loads of room. And well spotted. Diarbian. A big grimace on his face. Gevork Diarbian.
Love it, though.
That might be his first real misstep today. He's been phenomenal. That duo right there. Diarbian and Messer as Albany Rush add a couple of changes. That's Julio Rodriguez now in the game at right back.
There's really just no options to try to play out of the back for Albany. You know, you're just starting to see one of the center mids, Lagamba, try to check in for it, but there's not a lot of space for it. They're not necessarily trying to find him. And it turns into that.
A turnover that Pope scoops up and is fouled quite briskly. Fouled by Garrett DeRoja, who's entered the game in the midfield along with Lagamba.
Nacho's coming out.
This is Diarbian who's checking out.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Nacho is becoming a celebrity. I've been seeing all the kids freaking out when he came in, slid in, and gave him a wave.
By number 17.
Dylan Lane, the one who checks in for Diarbian. Lane will play on that left-hand side. A midfielder from Furman. He picked up 5 assists and a goal in the fall for Furman. An early look towards Lane, and it's knocked clear by Byrne. A quick green corner.
Tired clearance. You can just see it kind of in the body language of Albany. That shoulders are down. They're kind of that signature little trot when you're just tired.
It is Lane to take the corner.
That's a good ball.
Cloherty couldn't get any power on it. Chased down by Ochoa Gomez, the center back. He puts one back to the middle. It's Pope! Knutson again takes it from the corner. Well read by the Albany Rush keeper. Alfie Pope was close to his first.
Pope wants his.
Again, a ball whipped in by the left foot. This time Ochoa Gomez. Pope. That's a well-directed header on target.
He's had 2 or 3 chances with his head. It might be kind of his thing. He's good in the air.
Didn't see a ton of time this year at Creighton behind the likes of former Vermont Green FC star Owen O'Malley. Duncan McGuire was the star scorer at striker for Creighton.
It's hard to displace Owen O'Malley.
Sure is. Alfie Pope getting a chance to make a name for himself this summer in the Vermont Green kit. And will hope to do so for the Blue Jays this fall, likely taking over in that striker spot for McGuire. Another look at the chance for Pope. Knutson does well. There's a touch for Christofferson. Haven't had a chance to talk much about Nick Christofferson, the starting keeper for Penn. He was a captain this year for Penn and second team All-Ivy in net.
No, he's had, there was a couple little sniffs that Albany had beforehand, but otherwise he's had another quiet half. That's impressive.
And Adams just calmly works it backwards. Cloherty and Bolia not quite on the same page, out for an Albany throw. Cook to Byrne. Rodriguez. Lane. Great closing speed. He's the one who knocked it out. It's a rush throw-in.
Could have sworn that was deflected. Well done by Adams.
Adams again.
Well done.
He's kind of been all over the place.
I think he went through like a five-minute spell where he didn't get the ball. He's like, I want the ball.
I'm going to go get it.
Give me the ball.
Now Messer working with Lane. Messer wanted it back. Lane plays conservatively. And Ochoa Gomez, a square pass for Ashford.
And again, just not close enough pressure from Albany. You know, Vermont has just basically had so much time on the ball to create what they want.
Rodriguez cuts out the Ochoa Gomez look intended for Messer. And Lagamba back for Byrne.
Seeing Lerech talking to Lane, it looks like, tell him to get in a little bit closer, get a little bit more inverted, get Messer up the field. Like to see that type of communication between the forwards and what they actually want to create, and not just get so rigid in what, you know, maybe the communication at halftime was. But like, no, this is what we're seeing on the field.
Cloherty almost snuck it through for his teammate Charlie Adams, the two both Brown Bears. Ashford got the step on Lind and wins it backwards. It is interesting watching that communication for Vermont Green this late in the game. Just exactly what are they trying to accomplish? What are they saying to each other at this point? You picked up on it there from Nacho Lerech to Dylan Lane. Two guys who haven't had a ton of time yet together. They're still learning each other's games.
Well, I think that's the mental standard. That's the mental side of the game now. It's when, you know, you're at 3-0, controlling the match and continuing that communication to never really drop the standards. And you haven't really seen them drop the standards at all in this second half. And that's a really, really good sign. This early in the season, that's a great sign. These guys are still getting to know each other. A lot of them are still strangers.
What a performance they've put together in front of their home fans. After winning on the road against the Boston Bolts 3-0, Vermont Green FC closing in. Almost snuck through
good
the post.
Through ball, begging to go to the end of Alfie Pope's foot. Unfortunately, Albany rush defended well.
And again, Ashford, a long ball that Pope got up for.
Alfie looking for that one.
Big touch.
Lane unable to scoop it up, but Cloherty's there. Messer, numbers in the middle. Messer, a step over, a right-footed drive that he drags wide. That's his off foot.
Not a bad attempt, though.
Messer did not score last summer for Vermont Green. He did pick up 7 assists, which led the team.
As a left back, that's kind of your primary job there is, when you get your goal, great, it's awesome, but...
And I think that's the first time today we've seen Messer even look at goal. He has been putting balls into the 6-yard box all evening.
Not everyone can score that, opening goal O'Malley scored.
Well, not many can score that goal, period. That sure was something.
Yeah, that's definitely a way to kick off the inaugural season.
We've seen some special ones tonight. Zach Zengue with a bullet of a strike to open the scoring. And then second half goals from Nacho Lerech and Gevork Diarbian. Adams dragged to the ground. It will stay with Vermont Green as we've entered extra time. Overall takeaways from this one, Matt. Looking at this group, from your expectations coming in, what are you going to leave tonight thinking?
That there hasn't been a drop in standards so far. It's been kind of the most impressive thing that I've noticed. I didn't know necessarily what to expect. I saw, the 3-0 win in the first away match, and that's great, but sometimes there's a little bit of the unknown, obviously, like in a first match, I remember you could go back to like the Premier League when Leeds got promoted and they almost beat Liverpool. They had 3 goals, 3-0 at one point, I think. And but it doesn't always tell you necessarily what is actually like the quality and the cohesion of the team itself. And we're already in the second match, and it's such a controlled performance, and that's what's the most impressive to me.
Controlled is a good word for it. Only seconds away now from Vermont Green FC opening their home calendar with a W. Next up, they've got a friendly on Wednesday against CS Mont-Royal Autremont. Multiple Green members go down in the box. Nacho Lerech remains down.
Yeah, it looks like he took a shot to the face.
Player still down, but floating.
VAR?
No need.
No need.
Final whistle. A fist pump from Adam Pfeiffer. And the result Vermont Green were looking for in their home opener. And there's some words of wisdom on his way off as well.
There's always something to be added, just at the end, be like, hey, that last little play for it, that's the sign of a really good coach.
A solid performance tonight from Vermont Green FC. Matt, you said it, complete control. Where do they go next? What are the things you're looking forward to watching going forward now?
I think, well, very personally, Diarbian again. But, no, I'm looking for, to see a consistency of this performance moving into the next match. What I really liked was the amount of actual involvement that the defense had in their possession and into the attack. Whether it's threading the ball or winning the ball and keeping it consistent. Look at Messer.
The virtue vault up into the crowd. A returnee who knows exactly what it's like to celebrate with these fans. And, Matt, that's what I think I'm looking forward to. What a performance from this crowd.
Absolutely.
They showed out on night one.
Whole town. Thank you to everyone that showed up, and thank you for everyone that tuned into the stream.
And it's a man-of-the-match performance for Gevork Diarbian. He chugs the maple syrup.
Already becoming a Vermont legend now.
And now he vaults into the virtue crowd. Gevork Diarbian and Nathan Messer, a duo that dominated the left-hand side. Vermont Green FC 3, Albany Rush 0. That's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Another look at the Diarbian celebration. Everybody partying in Burlington and downing some maple syrup. That'll do it for Matt Montel and our entire production crew. I'm Brian McLaughlin. We'll talk to you on Wednesday at 7 p.m. against the friendly of CS Mont-Royal Autremont. Talk to you next time with more Vermont Green Soccer.